Also, in case any of you were concerned about the status of my posture throughout this entire project.
Womp.
Oh, I'm so messy. Hello. What is that I hear? Make me. Make me. It's the call of the little guy. It's been a minute since I've made a little guy. My serotonin quota is running quite low, and I feel like we need to remedy that. Yeah. All right. Here's the rundown. I am going to Dragon Con this year. My friends and I are doing a Pirates of the Caribbean group. My friend Justin is going to be Barbossa. Kelly and Sarah are doing different versions of Elizabeth Swann, and me, crustified version of Pirate Red. I have a whole video of how I made that costume. I got to shoot the video on a real ship, and it was the best day of my life. Kind of destroy that costume and make it look like she's part of Davy Jones's crew with barnacles and all that jazz. But that is not the point of this video. I feel like our group needs the accompaniment of a little gentleman by the name of Jack. I thought that it would be quite silly and fun to surprise my friends with a poseable Jack the Monkey. Perhaps Justin can wear on his shoulder or hat. Just for fun. Not much of a surprise because they're probably watching this, so. Surprise! We're gonna make his little clothes, which makes me so hippie. Fully poseable, fully manipulatable.
Manipulable.
Why are you French?
Manipulatable.
It's a word. Like any sort of sculpture, you need to figure out the dimensions. A beautiful, glorious friend named Alyson who has made a poseable Jack the Monkey. So she sent me all of the pictures that she had, including measurements that she had taken, an absolute game changer. I think armed with all of those things, let's sit down and start sketching this bad boy out. Out of sheer laziness, if we're being honest, I decided to make him the same measurements as this piece of paper, which is about 14 inches. To make him fully poseable, his skeleton will be made out of wire, hands, feet, and head will be made out of clay, bulking up his body with some wool, and then adding craft fur on top of that. His clothes, he has a little vest with some old-timey sleeves coming out, and then some tattered pantaloons. There are some little details like these little gold fringes, and of course the trim and his buttons. Now that we've got that all figured out, this video is sponsored, so to talk about some hot bean juice, here's sponsor Rachel. Good morrow. Today's video is sponsored by Trade Coffee. Trade is the #1 coffee destination in the US for personalized home coffee discovery. Hey, don't move my tripod, you scoundrel. Trade makes it easy to explore hundreds of coffees from the country's best roasters without the guesswork. You head to the website and you can either just willy-nilly kind of choose what you want, or you can go ahead and tell them how you brew, what flavors you usually like, and they will match you with 3 different coffees from 3 different roasters, delivered one at a time, and your first bag is free. I kind of just scrolled and found ones that I thought sounded interesting and sounded delicious. You know, they say don't judge the beanbag by its beanbag cover, but that is exactly what I did. So let me show you what I got this time. Every coffee ships straight to your door from the roasters. It doesn't go on a shelf or anything, so peak freshness. You can pause, skip, cancel anytime you want. Love your first bag guaranteed. If you are not happy with it, Trade replaces it, no questions asked. That is Trade Coffee. If you would like to check them out, you can head to drinktrade.com or use this handy dandy QR code. And without further ado, shall we get back to it? I say we shall. All right, so for the body, I have my handy dandy wire. Tomorrow we will do the clay sculpting, throw it in the oven, and then I'm gonna felt the wool on top of that. So this is the part of the process that I dread. Pirate Roberts. When you have all of the things that need to get done kind of in a very specific order, but all at once at the same time. That's where I'm at. I've got my proportions here. Also, I very possibly have already ruined the surprise. Jury's out. Made a story post of my outfit saying that I was doing piratey things this week. Kelly replied and asked what I was doing. No need to worry, I hit her with the very inconspicuous, "Oh, nothing." I think all suspicions are quelled. Let's start making his little skeleton. You would think in all of the years of me making little guys, I would get better at filming this process, but I am not. So this is essentially what his skeleton is going to look like, making sure I'm doubling over to make it nice and strong. And the next part of the process will soothe your ear holes. It's important to me to bulk up with tinfoil first. Number one, it makes it stronger, but number two, it means you use less clay. If you're sitting here thinking to yourself that it looks annoying to carve teeny weeny monkey fingers out of tinfoil, you would be absolutely correct in every way. When you can't be bothered to walk around the desk, go above. It is sculpting day. I'm gonna try to use what I already have for this, which is a little less than half of this Sculpey clay. Ideally, I would like to use a more translucent flesh color. This is what I have. I'm hoping this is enough. We used enough tinfoil that I shouldn't need too much clay. Got all of my tools. My little son, my little best friend. Start with the feet, bake it, bring it back, do the hands, bake that, and then do the face. My body, it's dying all around me. The contractors are working on the windows today, and I cannot wait for when I have to go in and out of the house carrying my son like this, just in different stages of life. Coming at you from your TV screen. Like Samara from The Ring, but more whimsical. But I think the trick here is just to get it all on and then we can sculpt it out. How do people do this? Perfect. And you're done. I have a sneaking suspicion I'm not gonna get these as thin as I want them and they're gonna be comically large. I then focused my efforts on making these as skinny as I could get them, with as many reference images as I could get. Honestly, searching capuchin monkey feet is not the weirdest thing I've ever searched. It yielded pretty good results, so here's a collection of capuchin monkeys looking really existential looking at their feet and hands. Also, I just looked it up and apparently it's pronounced capuchin. But I'm not going to go back and change any of this because I must live with what I've done. Once I had both feet ready to go, I decided to then mold them and shape them so they were a little more alive looking, which did cause a little bit of breakage, so I did have to repair some of that, but I think they look a lot more naturally like grabbers now. Then it was time for the fingers, which if I thought doing the feet was annoying, I decided to shape these before I did any of the details just to fix that breakage and not to worry about smooshing any of my sculpting. Time to sculpt a face, which I am probably the most nervous about because it's the most important part. I've got my references here. Also, in case any of you were concerned about the status of my posture throughout this entire project.
Wow.
I have enough clay for this. Yeah, I think we'll be fine. Like whenever I'm sculpting any sort of face, that one scene from Mrs. Doubtfire always pops into my head.
Luck be a lady.
Let's keep going. Looks like Squidward. Behold the stuff of nightmares. You can say it. He's a goddamn nightmare. This is a trust the process moment. It's so scary. Ooh, yuck. I am a little nervous with how fragile he is. One of his toes already fell off in the oven and I had to super glue it back on. Right now, I need to bulk him up. So I'm gonna take some wool batting, kind of bulk this up a little bit, not too much. We need to make essentially what is a fursuit. Let's put some meat on his bones. Even though you're horrifying beyond any measure. Let us be participants in the extreme sport of will Rachel get herself with the felting needle today? Ooh, close one, but not today. Thanks for playing, folks. To make the pattern, I first wrapped him in plastic wrap, which was so annoying that I'm going to skip almost the entire process. Then came wrapping him like a little masking tape mummy, which was equally annoying. After he was looking like someone Clarice would come to for advice, I got to work roughing out where I thought these pattern pieces would end up. I really truly was winging this part. Here are all the pattern pieces. So we've got the front of his body, his legs, and his arms, and his tail. I will not be discussing how phallic that looks. Now that I've got this, I want to transfer this onto craft paper just so they're cleaned up a little bit. But what I can also do is check out my craft fur stash and see what we can schmooze to make look like monkey fur. This is not quite right. What else we got? Now that I think about it, I think I may have moved all my fur upstairs. This isn't very monkey-like. I'm just gonna use this. It's not ideal, but it's a good way to use my scraps. Once I get everything sewn and everything onto his little body, I can give him a haircut and kind of tone this fur with paint. I've done it before and it works fine. If not, just a teensy bit crispy. He's a grungy little pirate, you know. Oh, he can be a little crusty. Okay. I said I would not be discussing it. Always important to cut your craft fur from the bottom so that you don't snip some of the hairs on the top. Then came the sort of painstaking process of hand sewing all of these pieces together. Yeah! Oh, good kisses. Let me show you a little bit of the creative process. Oh. Yesterday's mess, other mess, stuff that was in my car for months, including this cutie little print from a convention that I went to that I will probably never get around to having framed. Twash! And then over here, the remnants of when my niece slept over this weekend and we made little guys. Their names were Joey A and Joey B. Pretty cool guys. Here is my nightmare creature. On a scale of 0 to Sasquatch, how cryptid is he looking? We are going to give him a much needed haircut and then paint. In fact, let me just run over what we need to do today because this is the last day. Haircut. I'm gonna do a base paint of the hands, the feet, the face, the ears. Add some fur on top of everything. Hi.
Knock, knock. Interrupting cow. You can't see, but they were playing tug of war with a stick.
Oh. We need to work on his clothes. We're getting there. Home stretch. I don't know how to explain it, but he looks like a historically accurate velociraptor right now. It is as hot as Davy Jones' ass crack in here, so I'm going to put on the AC. We're gonna give this guy a haircut. After absolutely moitering my wrists, I remembered what I had. This was so much easier and very satisfying. Took me right back to my days of being a dog groomer. Except for getting nasty hair splinters. Hairstylists, y'all know what I'm talking about. Haha, up top. The same dark brown I used for the hands and feet, I just started dabbing into the fur, trying to get really between all of the layers. Then it was time to add some fur onto his naked little head, which made him the coolest guy I've actually ever seen. Oh my god. I mean this in the most respectful way possible. Why does he look like Christopher Walken? I got a fever. Capuchin. I already forget how to pronounce it. These little guys have a lot of hair around their face, so what I did was I added some super glue around the perimeter and then just harvested some white faux fur off of a jacket that I had. Laid it down with some pliers, trying to avoid my fingers at all costs, and it looks like I aged him by 300 years, but then it was time for another little haircut. Now comes quilting time. To do that, we're gonna do some stash searching. It's not gonna be exact, but I think it'll be close enough. I think I'm gonna use this for his pants and possibly part of his vest. This maroon velvet will be the back of his vest. What do I have for his sleeves? His sleeves are like a crinkly linen, I'm assuming. Don't know if I have anything like that. Oh! God, that was genuinely the most exciting moment of my life. Perfect. Yeah. And then I ordered some trim because I was going through some of excess stuff I have, and I just don't think anything is quite right. And then as far as buttons, I think I have enough of these teeny weeny pirate buttons. This is gonna be really basic. Measure his body and just rough out a vest pattern and pants pattern. All right, buckle up. We are going to speed run through this. I roughly measured around his chest, and using my sort of basic knowledge of how to make a vest, I just whipped up pieces that generally would fit him. I felt like the armholes was probably the most important part of this. The little shorts I definitely struggled with. I tried to make just 2 pieces for that, but then realized I had to make the full 4, so I looked up a very basic shorts pattern, keeping the waist very long because that was going to be elasticized. Paying attention to his inseams, which on his back was huge. That boy's got a badonk. And because my membrane contains a plethora of insanity, I decided to fully line the little tiny vest. The sleeves were probably the easiest part because they were being gathered. All I had to really measure was the length of them and just a little bit of an arch up top. After I threw a little elastic around the waistband of the shorts, it was time to tattoo them. I do love that this all implies that somewhere in that cinematic universe there is a person making these monkey his clothes, which I think if I were to be a member of the pirate crew, I would want to be the monkey seamstress. No pillaging for me. I'll be making tiny formal wear for a primate. My absolute favorite part of the process is weathering, so I just mixed up some black paint with a little bit of water and just went hog wild. I realized I hadn't done much to the sleeves yet, so those got the teeny tiniest little tea bath. While those were drying, I wanted to bring some life into his face finally. I added a little bit of pink into his flesh tone, as you can clearly see here. Yes. For the most part though, I wanted to keep this a little subtle and more natural, mostly focusing on his little furrowed brow to give him a little bit more emotion. Doing the old switcheroo, I attached the sleeves to the vest and then added the buttons. And then weathered those up a little bit too. For my last trick, wearing gloves, I put a glob of resin onto the eyeball and then quickly set it. This is not only going to make them look a little bit more round, but it's going to make them look shiny and like glass. I also added the teeniest amount to the mouth and nose and just spread it out so that they would look a little bit wet.
It looks tough. Tough monkey.
That's right. And with that, this tough monkey was ready for the reveal. film this wrap up quick, cause it's 5,000 fwickin' degrees in here. Ta-da! A new little guy has entered the villa. I love him. Don't talk to me or my son ever again. Overall, I'm ecstatic. I tend to get nervous on projects that are like very multi-parted, especially when some of those elements are getting proportions right and getting faces right. Those are the two things I struggle with. It all went pretty well here. I think proportion-wise, he's a lot better than I thought he was gonna be. His feet may be a little big, but you really can't tell now that the whole body is bulked out. The rest of his body looks pretty good. He is a little thick, but you know what? I'm not mad about it. He poses so well. He's so poseable. I am quite happy with his face. If I were to do this again, I might sculpt some sort of like expression on him, only because I do feel like he is a little 1,000-yard stare, but I do like that he looks a little mad. Jack the monkey is a little scoundrel. Yeah, I just think he's the cutest thing. Someday when the coffee shop is up and running, one of the Halloween themes I want to do is like a piratey kind of theme. Plan to use him for that. I can hang him from like up on the ceiling or something. He is my boy. My boy! That's my son. Damn melting in this wig, so I need to go get in my pajamas. Once again, thank you so much Trade Coffee for sponsoring this video. If you want to head to their website, tradecoffee.com, or use this handy dandy barcode, and you can start your discovery trial, so you can try all new coffees, see what's out there. That is it. I love you so very much, whether you're new or old to this channel. If you're new here and you feel like sticking around, feel free to subscribe. God, I upload every other Friday. It's like Jackatooey. And I will see you in the next video. Bye! You can even... Oh my God. Swear to God, if a spider crawls on me, I won't do anything because I'm not afraid of spiders. Either that was my stomach making a noise or there's a hungry ghost in here. And scene. I'll take my Oscar now.